Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
To those guests who've just joined us, welcome. Our next stop is the Magic Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching our station at the entrance to Main Street, USA, gateway to the 7 theme lands of the Magic Kingdom.
Welcome aboard the Monday Morning Monorail Podcast. This is Justin Monorail, and for a few minutes, I'm all by myself today. And why is that, you might say? Well, that's because this is an impromptu intro. A couple nights ago, two good buddies of mine and myself got together to retell the tale of an epic weekend, an epic adventure that we shared together that we wanted to share with you all. Now, when we were putting the show plan together, this was going to be segment number 3. I thought maybe that, the conversation that we had was going to take 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course, it took well over an hour, and I really don't want to cut a lot of it out. It's all good stuff. It's fun, and I think you all would want to hear it. So, that being said, it has become today's episode. This is September the 16th, 2019. This is episode 74 of the Monday Morning Monorail Podcast, and what follows is a recap of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opening weekend at Walt Disney World, Disney Hollywood Studios, and the adventure had by Landon the Doane, Frank Cardillo, and myself, Chewie. Light speed to story time. Welcome back to the monorail, or maybe should I say, Bright Suns travelers. And why would I say such a thing? Well, you see, this is the common vernacular on a planet that I recently visited called Batuu. Yes, it's true. There was a big event that happened back on August 29th, just a couple of weeks ago, and that was the grand opening of 2019 Food and Wine. But aside from that, there was another important event that happened August 29th, and it was, should we say, 50 years in the making almost? I mean, this thing feels like it's been coming for a very, very long time.
Guys, I'm not 50 years old. Just for the record.
Dang it, he took my joke. Crap. Oh.
Well, like I said, give or take a few years. We're getting there. But a grand opening of a land so, should I say, epic? I feel like that's stealing from another place. So legendary, so historic, such an occasion that there were 3 adult nerds who just felt like we had to be a part of it. And in order to recap this story, I can't do it by myself. I had to bring in the 2 fellows who joined me on this adventure to another planet. And so, on the magical Monday Morning Monorail video hotline, we've got 2 very special guests, and I'm going to start with Landon the Doane. Landon, welcome back to the monorail.
Always fun to be joining you or rejoining you on the monorail.
Yep. You may or may not have been on the previous segment. We'll find out.
Man,
later.
let me tell you, I was or was not hilarious in that last segment that we just did.
You were real good.
Yeah, that one thing that I may or may not have said, people are going to be talking about that for years.
They just might be. But Landon, it wasn't just you and me who went on this trip to Batuu.
It was our friend Jesus. Jesus
was with us.
Yes.
And also with you.
Yes, praise be.
But when we originally hatched this plan, and if I remember correctly, it was on your birthday that I came over to your house. We had a little cookout. We were chatting about this upcoming grand opening for a Star Wars land and how we felt like we needed to be there day one. But even so, at that time, we were like, I don't know, maybe. Like, we were kind of kicking around the idea. Well, when we finally decided to do it, we were like, it wouldn't be right if we did this just you and me, because there's somebody else who needs to complete this trifecta, this three amigos, if you will, to really round out this experience. And so we sent out an invite to our very good friend, Old Man Frank, and we said, Frank, if there's any way you can do this, you've got to join us. Just get down here and let's go to Batuu together. And
bring your AARP discounts down to Orlando. We need them.
And thank goodness Frank made it happen. We didn't know. It was touch and go for a while because it was in between trips and all kinds of things. He's been a world traveler, but
jet setting so-and-so.
He made it happen. And so I don't know how to introduce him. There's no way to introduce him appropriately other than to say, from the Improviser's Guide Network, you may have heard him on Everything is Wrestling Wednesday. You may have heard him on It's Talk Tuesday. You may have heard him on Theme Park Thursday with Dillos Diz. It is a monorail cousin that we are so happy that made the journey with us to Batuu. It's Frank Cardillo. Welcome back to the Monorail, Frank.
Hey, what's up? Sorry, I never really can keep quiet until I'm properly introduced. I like interrupting many, many times.
It's totally fine.
Well, that just makes you a good podcaster.
Yeah. Pretty sure podcasting is just interrupting each other most of the time.
I think
Jay, I don't mean to step on you. I just want to point out it's a really good point you just made, and I agree with it.
I think the proper response I had when the invite first came was like, well, it's a lot of old man noises. I mean, you could read that in the Twitter messages.
You probably got out of breath by reading it for some reason. Yeah. You thought to yourself, this really doesn't make sense, but, go with it.
Well, I have to say, Frank, when we sent you the invite, I knew that it was going to cause a serious internal conflict as soon as you got it. I knew that you were going to read it and be like, oh no, what do I do now? Because I had heard you say on Theme Park Thursday with Dillos Diz that you were not going to go anywhere near Galaxy's Edge.
No, outright, I said it. And because I had been to Walt Disney World several times over the course of the previous 12 months, especially when I got to March, it just felt like I don't think I want to be anywhere near here when Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opened for months. And I said it on the podcast a lot. I said it on other people's podcasts. I was like, I'm not going.
Podcasts you weren't even invited on?
No, I just jumped in on there. I just typed in random Zoom email web addresses. Like, let's see who comes up.
You busted into a couple corporate meetings to let them know your thoughts.
I'm not going.
Yeah. Before we get back to synergy, I want to reiterate that I am not.
I had no intention whatsoever. So definitely an internal conflict, probably very, very similar, maybe, Justin, to the one you had when they said, "Hey, where's your Savvy's reservation? You want to come in?"
Yeah, I would imagine it's very similar because all the things start going through your head, which is immediately, yes, I want to, but should I? And is it?
It's an enthusiastic yes, but ... Yeah.
Is it the most responsible thing? Do I want my kids to go to college? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, the thing you had really going for it is that a lot of my trips often are these like 2-day turnarounds. And I was like, well, I know I can do a 2-day turnaround. Let's just see if we can make it happen.
Well, you did leave us in suspense for, I would say, a few days.
Yeah, that's how I roll. I gotta make people really want it.
I respect that.
So, we had to go.
And boy, did he make us want it. Me and Jay, we just sat around for hours on end saying, "Gee, I really hope Frank joins us." And we put our hands on our hips like we're really lame anime characters or something too.
I kind of gazed out the window into the middle distance, and I was like, "If only Frank could go to Galaxy's Edge with us."
Yep.
And I just hoped. I didn't think it would come true.
The term "wistful" was thrown around when describing Jay.
I'm really glad you guys laid it out that way because that's how I pictured it in my head.
It was. That's exactly how it was.
Your headcanon's 100% accurate.
So that's kind of how all this came together. It was a crazy idea, and we were like, you know what? Not only are we huge Star Wars nerds, and this is kind of a big event happening right here in my backyard now in Walt Disney World. Sorry, humble brag.
Seriously.
But also we are podcasters. Don't we have a duty to attend these sorts of events?
Yes, for some reason we have a self-inflated version of our own opinion of ourselves. So we absolutely had to be there for day one to give you our thoughts.
Yeah, we owed it to the world.
I think we did.
Absolutely. Though I jokingly talk about self-inflated, but I know we'll probably get to it. But we were recognized a little bit, which was kind of funny. Frank was rocking his gear with the Dillos Diz on, and then later on we had one of those. Hey, are you guys the monorail dudes?
that totally did happen. But let me just tell you, Frank once again showed why he is the number one professional podcaster, because not only was he wearing his Dillos Diz gear, he had cards to hand out.
Yeah, he did.
Which was brilliant.
AB Dub, always be working, baby.
I can't tell you though how much I had to muster up to do that, because I'm like, I just want to be quiet and I want to be on my own in my own tunnel. It took a lot.
Yeah, but that was I was envious. I was like, of course, why would we not be carrying something like that? And I never have. So at some point I'll catch up to you, Frank.
Like I said, it was just the Star Wars retro T-shirt. I was like, Jen, she has a press thing. I don't know what she's got. And I was like, can you put the Dillos Diz logo on the back of this Star Wars retro shirt? She was like, yes.
Yeah, and it was perfect. It worked out.
Good.
Yeah, it showed me why I'm stupid for not wearing any monorail gear when I go to the park. So but that was great. So,
by the way, available in the TeePublic store now. Your very own Monday Morning Monorail merchandise.
Yeah, including a wonderful design featuring the Godfather of Chicken Nugget.
If you want this mug on your belly, go get it.
I wonder who provided that idea. I wonder who
where
suggested
did that come from?
that. Where did that?
So, guys, I just want to start out by kind of talking about the excitement that we all had to be part of this was, just unbelievably huge, out of this world huge. But that probably led to a little bit of anxiety, just knowing that we had these huge expectations for what this experience was going to be like. And, we'd already seen some of the videos and pictures and things of people. And even, Frank, in your case, you talked to some people who'd been to Galaxy's Edge and Disneyland. Mm-hmm. And so we started to kind of form opinions about what this was going to be like. But even so, I really wanted to ask, let's say the night before, we're going to bed at 9 o'clock, which is probably Frank's normal time to go to bed, or maybe a little late.
Oh, I can't say anything. That's actually my bedtime too.
All of us it was like Christmas morning or Christmas Eve, we were having trouble going to sleep because we were so excited.
Sleeping in our Little Mermaid room.
Yeah, maybe I should also say, from experience, Little Mermaid room at Art of Animation is maybe a little tad small for 3 grown men.
We found a way, though.
But we did it. But yeah. So as we're kind of preparing for the next day, where were your expectations at? What were you what was going on in your heads to get you ready for the next day? Frank, what were you thinking?
The whole 3 months before, it was about I'm not getting in. I didn't believe I was getting in. I didn't think there was a chance. Obviously it helped over time when they started having the previews and the pass holder previews and all the cast member, just everything. And, it helped alleviate some of that. And I was like, oh, maybe there's a chance. Definitely when the Hurricane Dorian news started coming, I was like, okay, because I know how hurricanes can go and how people react to them in Central Florida. So I was like, oh, that might alleviate some of the traffic locally. But even, I had scheduled my life to be, if Thursday doesn't work out, I'll just come out on, I'll go on Friday. And, the chief goal as ended up happening was to get in the Falcon and go on Smuggler's Run. There was no alternative. If I was getting into the area, I was going on Smuggler's Run, and that was it. That was really what was in my brain.
Yeah. So modest goals, really, one focused goal, ride the Falcon. Yeah.
I had to get in that holding area is really how I saw it.
Yeah. And Landon, what about you?
The night before, I guess there was a little bit of I'm hesitant to say trepidation just because it sounds bad, but at the same time, it's like in the back of my mind, I was thinking about the crowd that we were going to be facing that next morning. Like, how big was it going to be? It wasn't well, maybe because of the hurricane, people would be afraid. No, I knew even though other people had their travels impacted, there was still going to be like a bazillion people. It felt like there Thursday morning, and so I was curious about that. And then when we got there that morning, it's like, yep, okay, there's about as many people as I thought was going to be. But like going in, like I wanted to ride the Falcon, but if we had to do one thing, I wanted to go to Oga's Cantina. Like that. Frank talks about how the Falcon was his white whale, so to speak. It was like I wanted to drink so bad in what I lovingly refer to as the dope ass Star Wars bar. I so wanted to do it, and I know we'll get to thoughts later on. I will say my expectations were met. So
yeah. I mean,
I think it's funny. Sorry, just to jump in for a second. That having been there through this, through a yearly cycle, working in the parks and through the busiest times of the year, I found it of interest that, especially you, Jay, that you were like, this is the busiest I've ever seen it. And I was kind of like, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah. There was definitely a stark contrast there.
Yeah, I had never been in a crowd like that in the parks. I mean, the closest thing that I can imagine being even in the neighborhood was when I actually got to go to New Year's Eve in the Magic Kingdom. It was pretty packed. Yeah. But even so, we weren't really trying to do much. So it makes a difference. Like when you're there trying to do something and it's shoulder to shoulder all the way down Hollywood Boulevard and into the, around Star Tours, like that was, the crowd was insane. And it was funny. So as we kind of planned for our arrival, we started talking about like how early should we get there. And the information was really hard to come by about like, when is the park going to open? When is the parking lot going to open? When are people going to be allowed to go through security? I even talked to a cast member the day before, and she was like, well, I don't know. And that was in the park in Hollywood Studios, standing at the actual tunnel to Black Spire Outpost.
It was like, wait, we have what opening?
She's like, what? Is something happening? I don't know.
It's like, sir, this is not Diagon Alley.
But I walked, it was actually really funny because if you can picture it, that little Manhattan street leading to the tunnel to Black Spire Outpost, no one was going down that street because it's all closed off. They had, I'm telling you, it was like 15 cast members lined up like a human shield, like arm to arm, and then they had their little temporary hedge maze that they had put up there so you couldn't get past it. People were going to Muppet Vision or they were going nowhere. So I had a very long walk. It kind of reminded me of the like Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail, where you've got the knight running towards the castle and you can see it's like, what's going on there? And so I made the whole like awkward eye contact with the cast member that I was going to for a very long time. I was like, I'm coming for you. I'm coming. and she was kind of looking. She kept looking at me, and then she was like looking, and she was like, what's going on? And so I asked her, I said, I hear that people are going to be allowed to get through security tomorrow starting around 4. Do you know if that's accurate? Do you know when they're going to open the parking lot? And she was like, I really don't know. They haven't really told us. I think people are going to be let in at 4, but the park opens at 6. So like it was really vague. And then once Landon was in town, we go over to Disney Springs. We went to guest relations like hours before before this was going to happen. And they're like, what? We don't know. Seriously.
Our takeaway was pretty much to sum up that conversation.
Yeah. I was like, you realize tomorrow Black Spire Outpost is opening, right? Because I actually had to say it to her twice. Like, I asked her the question, and she was like, what? I'm like, I'm trying to find out when can I get in. Anyway, I don't know if that's because Disney really was changing the plan, like, up until the last minute, or if they just weren't telling cast members anything. Like, but how could they? They had to have people there. So it was just
I think it's probably a mixture of both. That one, they were, I mean, what did they announced the boarding parties 3 days before or whatever, and so I think the information was happening as it happened based on emotion. I don't know, but it doesn't surprise me that a lot of cast members didn't know Across the Parks now. I think that's just.
But people in guest relations at Disney Springs probably should. They should be let in on the secret. Like I don't know about y'all, but I was blown away by how the cast members in Galaxy's Edge handled not only the crowds but you know their actual jobs. But that right there, it's like that was the one thing I felt like Disney could have done better, at least on our end for our trip, because Jay pointed out we made trips specifically for that information. I mean, when we were down at Disney Springs, like, okay, let's go to Jock Lindsay's and get dinner. But,
sure.
But, you know, that's what happens when you're down at Disney Springs. But we went to Disney Springs with a purpose of going to guest relations. Well, and like I said, we got the. Yeah, sure. That sounds good. I don't know if it's right, but it sounds good.
Yeah, and Frank mentioned the boarding party thing, too. That was another thing that we wanted to ask about, because we had made reservations for Oga's, and once they announced the boarding, they announced the boarding party thing, we were like, okay, what if you have a reservation, but your boarding party hasn't been let in yet? I actually laid that scenario out to several different cast members who are like, what? If you have a reservation, you can go in, right? I'm like, that's what I'm asking you.
But then we also had somebody say, well, I don't know if a reservation would get you in. I don't think it would. So we got both answers.
Yeah. So basically, we had no information. The only thing that we knew was that we had heard people saying, like, pretty frequently that 4 a.m. was the time. Like, it's going to open up at 4 a.m. So that's where we set our sights. So we ended up going to bed in our little mermaid room, all tucked in and cozy, very early that evening. I think Frank and I passed out simultaneously and you know, serenaded Landon with a chorus of snores, which meant surely he would not get any sleep for several hours. But
yeah, literally they started snoring at the exact same time. And I was like, oh. Well, this is happening.
I'm sure if people listen to both of these podcasts, that's not a surprising statement, by the way, that we would snore simultaneously.
Yeah, that was one of those ones like, wow. Okay, it's that type of
We're in sync. So we do. We make it to sleep. Our alarms go off promptly at 3. Did we set them for, I guess? Or
somewhere in there.
It was so early.
It was very early. And so we try to rise and shine. What I didn't find out until after it was way too late is they actually did open the cafeteria at Art of Animation at like 3 a.m. that morning.
Oh, seriously?
But we didn't know that, so I packed granola bars and bananas that I purchased from the gift shop the day before, and several different things.
We could have had coffee.
We could have had
coffee.
Oh, yeah. I did get coffee. I put it in the refrigerator. It worked for me. But yeah, so we get up. We're getting the snacks. We're getting all loaded and not loaded. That was later.
Yeah, once we got into Oga's Cantina, we just got loaded.
Yeah. But then Frank is talking back and forth on text messages, and we don't really know quite what's going on, but I think it's fitting for the story to say it all started with a kidnapping, which is pretty much.
She would say that too, I think.
It really kind of set the tone for the day. So,
hey, stranger, get in this van under the cover of dark.
I mean, I saw it more as a Death Star rescue, guys. I don't know.
Hey,
keeping it on brand. I like that.
Yeah, you got a Han, a Chewie, and a Luke. I know I'm Chewie. I'll admit it.
What? No, I'm Chewie. Wait, fine. I guess I'll be Han, the lovable scamp.
There you go. And I should maybe it's a Luke, a Han, and an Obi-Wan. We know Frank's.
Well, we already on the podcast last week. We already we had Angela on from Touring Plans, and we already said she's a long lost Dillos sibling, so I have to be the Luke.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, that'll work.
And she also let us know she knows Krav Maga.
Yeah.
No, jiu-jitsu.
She warned us.
Jiu-jitsu.
She warned us. So, yeah, to fully explain this, Frank was exchanging messages with Angela Dahlgren from TouringPlans.com podcast and Touring Plans Media Management.
Go give them a follow.
She's the do-it-all for Touring Plans Online. But, yeah, he had already kind of had a chance to build a relationship with Angela because he'd been on the podcast, and Jen ended up going on the podcast on Touring Plans. So they opened up these lines of communication, and I think when you mentioned you'd gone on other podcasts and said you weren't going anywhere near Hollywood Studios, that was the Touring Plans podcast.
That was the Touring Plans podcast, yes.
So but then here we were. Not only were you there, we were in the same exact location as Angela, and she's really texting us like, where are you guys at? There's a bus coming. You are running late. late.
She was
we got up at
us.
3:30 and we were still running late.
Yeah.
You realize how weird of a feeling that is.
Yeah, it's kind of par for the course, really. As early as we try to be, we're always just running behind, but...
It was weird when she closed the door. The Law and Order chime sounded. Weird.
We do. We pull up. We pull around the little circle in front of Art of Animation. She hops in in a white nondescript vehicle.
I would have loved to have been any of the bystanders standing by it. Like after the door shuts and she drives off, it's like, I
What
really
just happened?
hope we don't see her on the news tonight.
Yeah, but she did immediately warn us. She knows jujitsu, so we were put in our place immediately.
Yeah, that was like part of her introduction. Hi, I'm Angela. Also, I know jujitsu. Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Angela, and I know how to be nice.
So, but off we go, right? So we still feel like we're pretty early. I mean, I honestly thought, I'm like, oh man, on our way over, I'm thinking, how close do you think we're going to be? We're going to be like up in the first like 100 people. We're going to be like, we're going to be like right at the gate. We arrive, we kind of breeze right through security. It really wasn't that big a deal. It was around 10 after 4 or something when we get through security. We find ourselves at the very back of a huge crowd of people standing just inside the turnstiles, essentially. We scanned our magic bands, we were in, and we stopped, and we looked around, we were like, how is it possible we're in the back of this group?
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Landon. Go.
I was going to say, when we got in it was the back, but by the time they started moving people, I don't know if y'all noticed, but we were somewhat towards the middle of that mob of humanity, because even though we got there early, there were still people that got there after us.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that even when we parked in the lot, I mean, we were in the first couple of rows of the parking lot, and I wasn't expecting it to be. I wasn't expecting to be at the crossroads from where the line started, up down Hollywood Boulevard. But I was like, oh, all right, it's a good number here. All right.
Right. That was something I thought too, is like we were pretty close in the parking lot. So that was pretty mind blowing. I'm guessing a lot of people did either bus over or walk. They were staying, in walking distance and came over from,
that makes sense to do. Boardwalk and Beach Club and Yacht Club, and Swan and Dolphin, sure. Yeah.
So I'm guessing a lot of people had done that, but we had no idea what we were in for. So the starter pistol sounds. Everyone
mass hysteria. Everybody starts knocking people over. I saw one person get taken out with a lightsaber. That was wacky.
Surprisingly, it was actually pretty civil.
Yeah, all things considered, it wasn't the Black Friday mob as Landon was talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
We were kind of prepared for that, but it really was pretty orderly, and people didn't run over you too much. You got bumped here and there, but you really couldn't avoid it because there were so many people.
And the couple times you did get bumped or bumped into somebody, it was also, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like everybody we dealt with around us was in a great mood. It was in a very cordial mood. We didn't have anybody be like, oh, this sucks. Do y'all realize how early it is? Oh,
well,
we didn't have anything like that.
That was really us more than anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And we kept moving up. Like it seemed like they were kind of letting us further and further in as a group until we got to the point where we could actually see the tunnel. And that's when it really started to hit me that we were going in. Now, I did have the luxury of going to the pass holder preview. So I had been in the land before, but it really felt like I was doing it again for the first time. And it was because being part of this crowd and the energy, and I know, Frank, you mentioned that you could tell they were kind of piping in some cheers and stuff like that. But the crowd, that really was like the crowd energy. Like people were cheering once we got in there. And
I think I was actually surprised they had the pipe in because I don't know if they've confirmed that there was a pipe in, but I think that's what it was. And because you could feel that the energy was what the piping in was reflecting. But everything is wrestling, guys. So it's
of course.
Yep.
You got to keep it kayfabe.
Everything's a work.
But we make it through the tunnel. At this point, I'm starting to try to pay a little more attention to the faces, looking at not just you like Landon and Frank, but looking around at the people around me, because the first thing you do is you walk in, you see the A-wing over to your right, you see the X-wing over to your left, which, by the way, R.I.P. Ray and Chewie are standing watch over by the X-wing and kind of supervising as people go in, and you start to be immersed in it. You can start hearing the music, you start hearing the sounds, you start hearing the soundtrack of the spaceships overhead. Flying over.
Yeah. Yes.
And now I am on Batuu. And while we didn't get to the point where we could see the Falcon for a while, because they kind of, they shifted us over, and we actually had to weave our way as we waited in the Millennium Falcon line all the way out to Toy Story Land and then back in again.
Heck, we even got to go backstage at one point.
We did end up going backstage. I still felt like, and actually I'm grateful for the way that it happened, because I know we talked about it on the day. It forced us to stop and look around and take in everything around us. And we weren't just like rushing in and being overloaded with the sights and sounds and rushing right to the Falcon, which was, the reveal that we all really wanted.
Right.
We had to wait for it, and it made it all the sweeter once we got there.
Yeah, it was interesting that first out from the 5 to 6 a.m. hour where it really felt like nothing was happening, but I think it was because they were getting more cast members on post to set up that interweaving line all the way to Toy Story Land and back down. But we definitely talked about how, I'm one for the views and the details and everything. So obviously that's why, spoiler alert, Galaxy's Edge was a home run for me. But it definitely, just be able to slow down a little bit was helpful. And I mentally committed to, I'm going to wait 4 hours for Smuggler's Run. I don't care. But that seeing the layout and how everything was, weaving in and out was particularly cool to me.
And when Frank says, yeah, I'm cool waiting 4 hours for the Millennium Falcon, I don't know about y'all, it really didn't feel that long standing in line, which I know hearing that out loud, that sounds insane. Of course, waiting 4 hours is going to feel like 4 hours, but I don't know if it was just the excitement or the fact that we did get to go through and look at, not all of the nooks and crannies, because, you're going to miss something no matter how much time you spend in one place. There's always going to be something you didn't see. But I don't know. It didn't feel that bad. And I do think part of the reason is because we were able to see, all right, we're going to stand in line, but while we're standing in line, we're in that one courtyard that off to the side is a bunch of like busted up bots that are being repaired, and just up ahead is the blue milk stand, and so you can see all the bubbling jars that's part of that facade while you're waiting, and it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be looking for 4 hour waits the next time I go to Walt Disney World, but at the same time, it felt okay. And I do think part of the reason is everything in there. It's just so immersive.
Yeah, it's very cliche to say, you stop and look around for, you
look up,
life and everything, look around, but it's true. It's we got the opportunity to stop and look around for a while, and I think the payoff was definitely there.
Yeah, and I think it was a couple of things that made the wait more manageable. First of all, we were in the park at 4 a.m., so we knew even if we wait 5 hours for Smuggler's Run, it's just 9 a.m., and then we
we have the entire day in front of us. Yeah.
So that was part of it, but also Frank was busy promoting his podcast to everybody in line, so that ended up eating up a lot of time. And but no,
he was giving interviews to people. It was weird.
He was appearing on YouTube.
That's right.
But no, it was actually really cool, and the fact that we were like making good connections with the people that were in line around us too. And it felt like a convention atmosphere where, and actually I say this sometimes about Walt Disney World, because I think a lot of times the people who get it are, when they're there, you can tell because they've got the ears on, they're wearing the shirts, and it is that camaraderie you automatically have with someone because you know that you both are on the same level of fandom about something. And so that's what it felt like being in line waiting for Smuggler's Run that first day, is like, we're all on the same page. We're all here to celebrate Star Wars and be part of this, part of a happening, which we felt like we were, and all of us were, at times in tears, at times overwhelmed, super excited, and it made it easier to handle too because the sun wasn't quite up yet, so it wasn't super overwhelmingly hot, and so it really did go by very fast. But we also knew that for our first ride on the Falcon that we wanted to be in the same crew. So there was no way we were going to split up and do single rider. So we were willing to wait it out. And, the other thing I was thinking as we were kind of waiting was that, like, I ended up seeing things that when we were there on the pass holder preview, I had no idea were there. Like, I just didn't see them because even though I thought it was busy at the pass holder preview, we still were able to do whatever we wanted and walk around. Like, we walked on the Falcon twice, you know. So I still thought, I'm like, the crowd's really big here. Look at this 10-minute line for milk. Like, that's ridiculous. Look at this 5-minute wait for Doc Undars. We'll get to that in a second.
Oh boy, yeah.
So anyway, I totally took for granted that the crowd was very low for the pass holder preview, but then we're standing in line, and like one of the things that I noticed, for example, was the crashed pod over near the Resistance side, which I had not seen at all, which was a cool. And one of the things, and we've all said this, one of the things that's so amazing about Star Wars Land is the detail. And if you're not going to slow down and take in all the detail, you're missing a huge chunk of what makes this amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, and definitely even part of why Justin, you and I went back the next morning is because I was like, I just want to see more details. It's really what I'm going to look for. Is obviously going on the single rider was a bonus, but that early in the morning the next day. But I really just wanted to see how many more details can I find along the way.
Yeah. And there's still plenty, I'm sure, that we haven't seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. All right. So the line starts to move. We make the turn, and we see the Falcon. Now, we had talked about this moment before we ever got there, and this was the moment that I wondered if we would start to see some man babies making an appearance. And I don't think the tears quite came, but I can tell you, because I was trying to capture as much of your reaction as I was enjoying it myself, that looking at you guys, I could see just the joy, the wonder, the excitement of seeing the Falcon. It had the impact that I felt like it would for all of us. But that wasn't the crying moment for any of us, I don't think. But it was, I mean, and I've got the pictures, you can see them out on Twitter. Like Landon, I was making a video at the time, and Landon, you have this look of just like, holy crap, there it is. And Frank is just laughing. Like, just...
Which is, when I'm starting to feel real feelings, I often laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, going back to the line, the way it laid out, like, we slowly came around the corner, and it was a slow reveal even as you went around that. And when, I mean, Jay, you nailed what was going on in my head when you finally have that, like, holy crap, since this is a PG podcast, that is the Millennium freaking Falcon, and it's right there.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of those oh my god moments. And kudos to Disney and the Imagineers and everybody that put this together. It was like, to me, like, Galaxy's Edge Batuu is nothing but holy crap, this is really happening moments, just over and over and over again. And the closest I ever got to having like man baby tears is not seeing the Falcon, but when you get on the Falcon in the holding area while you're waiting for your crew to be called up there. It's like, Jay, you got a picture of me saying, holy.
I caught you in the act.
But I good on me. I did not continue through with the bad word. But yeah, that was pretty much sums up the ride, in my opinion, in that one image of, holy crap, this is real.
Yeah.
Like if you'd have told an 8-year-old Landon, like, dude, in like 30 years you're gonna fly the Millennium Falcon, and it's not gonna feel like a ride. It's gonna feel like you flew the Millennium Falcon.
Man, and that's where it's at too. It's like you felt like you flew the Millennium Falcon, and if you have that level of emotional investment to Star Wars, the brand, the Falcon, whatever, like, that moment, you felt like, I mean, when you handed us the pilot and the co-pilot, like that was like the climax of like an hour of the line snaking in front of the Falcon. That was just like, I'm looking at this for like an hour, and I'm still staring, and I'm still taking pictures, and I'm looking at every nook and cranny of this thing. I'm fixated completely. And then like when you handed us the freaking tickets for pilot and co-pilot, I was like, I'm doing what? And like stress and like, oh my God, I don't want to fail.
Yeah, that is one thing that I did not expect was a little bit of, oh crap, these people are dependent on me. 5 other people, their experience, a lot of what they're going to think, good or bad, that's on me. Because Frank, like we were co-pilots. Like we flew the Falcon, y'all. And the 4 people behind us, well, like no pressure, Frank, right?
No, it was all the pressure. I was like, am I doing? And we flew it so well, Landon, that
We did.
all the other rides that followed, I never got that little asteroid field again.
Yeah, that is true. I think I ended up going on it 4 times while I was down there, and never once did I see the asteroid field.
That's right.
We got, because apparently me and Frank, we are space aces, y'all.
That's right.
You really are. It was amazing. You did a great job. And I had hoped against hope that we were going to get the opportunity for you guys to be pilots, because you never know. And I mean, if you go single rider, odds are you're going to be engineer.
Yeah.
I think if you're in a group of 2, there's still a risk that you're probably not going to get a pilot seat. But if you're like 3 or more, there's pretty good chance that you will, just because the way they do the groups. Because if a group ahead of you is like 2 people, and then they might pull you into that group, but odds are, like, a lot of the groups in front of us were 4. So I kept doing the math, and I was like, okay, the 2 groups ahead of us are both level, like, groups of 4, which level 4.
Level 4, wow.
Yeah, but they're both groups of 4, and so I had decided that it was going to happen. And when she handed us the cards, I was like, yes! I was so excited that you guys were going to get to do that, even though I had not been the pilot for the Millennium Falcon yet. And so I was like, it's cool, because I knew that I could come back down here anytime, and I wanted you guys to have that experience. Landon, I know at first you were signed up to be the right pilot.
Yep.
And why did that change?
Because up is down and down is up. Do you understand that? All right, sir. Now you're going to be going left. Left is left. Right is right. You understand that? All right. My gunner's in the back. You're going to hit this. But that is why. Because if you're the right pilot, up is down and down is up. And then, at least in our instance, like, our cast member moved immediately on. It's like, do you have any questions? Actually, yeah. And there you go.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why I told Frank, it's like, all right, you're switching with me, because I understand left is left and right is right. And also, going back to my previous statement, I didn't want to be the one that was responsible for crashing the Falcon. Yeah. So if anybody was going to do that, it was going to be Frank.
Yeah.
And I felt that stress.
But because I so graciously let Frank be the right pilot, I missed out on an experience that Frank got to throw into a certain speed, didn't you, homie?
Oh yeah, I've said it. That pulling, going into hyperdrive, putting the Falcon into hyperdrive. I don't think there's a scream I ever had that came out of my mouth that equaled that moment in time ever.
And it's funny you mentioned the scream, because not only did you scream, I screamed, Jason, like
we
the entire cockpit just popped huge. It was such a fun experience. And it's like, going back to what Jay said, if you're going to an event like this, everybody's on the same team. And at least for our crew, for that ride of the Falcon, everybody was bought in, and that helped build to the enjoyment of the ride. And I know, Jay, you said something on I guess it was the review of when y'all went and did the pass holder preview. You said if you buy into it, and if you buy into Batuu, you're going to have more fun. If you're willing to play along in Batuu, you're going to have more fun. And that was one of those moments where it was like, everybody is on board. Yeah. This is what we want to do.
We're on the Falcon, and we're flying a mission.
We're on the Millennium freaking Falcon, y'all.
Yeah, and you're right.
We just sat at the space chessboard not 5 minutes ago. We glazed over that part. We all could sit at the space chessboard.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. But we did have a perfect crew. I mean, the 3 ladies they paired with us, they were on board. And like you said, like, every little thing that happened, we're all cheering, we're all screaming. It was a blast.
Yeah, because even when they were yelling, like, directional stuff, like, no, go down. Like, I felt like, I was like, this is dialogue that would happen on a Millennium Falcon. Like, I was like, this is totally believable.
Yeah.
We have space backseat drivers. The only thing that was missing was Frank turning around and be like, I will turn this spaceship around if you do not be quiet.
But it was a great experience. We had such a good time. And I can tell you, and you guys have done it too now, when you go on your own, you do single rider, you can get paired up with some good crews, but it is a totally different experience than if you go in with a group of friends and you have that camaraderie and the communication and all that going on. Like, when you can do it as a group experience, that's really where it's at.
Definitely.
It's amazing.
And I will say, like, the single rider, the engineer spot, like, for me, I'm like, I'm in the cockpit again. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm buying, I'm all in. I drank all the Kool-Aid and all the flavors.
All the blue milk. Yeah.
And I'm all.
Or green.
Yeah. I mean, and actually for us, when we went back on day 2, we did single rider and we literally walked on twice. Mm-hmm. You can't complain about what seat you get when you walk on.
No. Literally walk on an attraction the second day it's open.
Yeah. It was.
And by the way, that attraction is the Millennium Freaking.
Yeah, it was amazing. So that experience, I think, delivered every single thing that we were looking for and more. And then once we were done with that, we still had a whole day to explore the land. So, and we may or may not have made the best choices with our time,
but we made choices. We
were in that land for 11 hours.
Yeah, we were. And again, it didn't feel like it was 11 hours when we had that moment of realization. It's like, okay, cool. Well, all right, neat.
Yeah, it was just like that hour and a half in the line for docks that I went into droid shutdown for a little while. I was like, you mind if I turn off for a little while, sir? Thank you.
Power save mode.
Yeah, that was one of those decisions we definitely made.
We made a decision. We wanted to go in Doc Undars, and but I gotta say, I don't think we regretted going in there. And what else were we gonna do with all that time we had?
I mean, and on top of that, that's one of the coolest stores I've been anywhere in the entire world. And Batuu.
And again, it's a detail store. Like all the stuff all the props that are up there, the heads of all the beasts, like everything is just, you could sit there for hours and look around.
Yeah. And that's
the animatronic in there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Doc Undar himself sitting right there, like counting. He's got a giant abacus behind him for some reason, because that's what you do in space. I guess it was a long time ago.
But
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, you're right.
The TI calculator series has yet to make it to Batuu.
but it was so cool. I mean, the shops, the Docking Bay 7, the Ronto Roasters, every nook and cranny has something to look at. Everything has a story. We went into I guess it's kind of your traditional Black Spire Outpost souvenir store where they're just selling stuff that says Black Spire Outpost. Right. The cast member that was working in that shop walked over to me because I was back in the back looking at, it looked like a forge, and there was some jewelry and stuff, and he starts telling me the story about, let me tell you about our jeweler that works here. This is her forge. And he tells me this whole story, and she's off world right now looking for treasures and jewels and so cool. But that's how it is with everybody there. Like Frank and I, the second day we went back, we go in Droid Depot because we started off in the Millennium Falcon line again, and we're like, why are we doing this? We don't need to do this. So we broke off. We go in Droid Depot immediately. We walk up and start talking with a cast member who just, I think they're encouraged to engage and walk up and start talking to you. But she starts talking about, the resistance is here and they're really messing things up for us. Like the First Order came in and everything was fine, but now the resistance is here. What are they doing here? And then she's like, but I got to meet Kylo Ren the other day and it was amazing. Like she was just, it was so good. And they want to talk to you. They want you to play along.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
Kylo Ren, he's the dreamiest. She didn't say that, but
we
ran into
y'all ran into a Kylo Ren fangirl.
Oh, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Y'all ran into an internet personification.
and the conversation may or may not have been very paralleled with maybe current political climate at some points, and we tried to kind of steer away from it a little bit. But
we're going to make Batuu the greatest planet in the galaxy, and we are going to make the Federation pay for it.
Hashtag Space Force.
I would like to introduce my General Doc Undar of the Space Force.
Well, let me ask this question of you guys. What was maybe the biggest thing that surprised you about opening day on Batuu? Landon, let's start with you this time.
Biggest thing that surprised me, well, first, especially now that the news has come out that they've been taken away, that those sporks were actually metal. I was kind of surprised that they were metal. And, of course, this is why we can't have nice things. People took them, and they're now on eBay. Seriously, what the hell is wrong with some of you? But this is going to sound weird. My biggest surprise was how much I enjoyed the green milk.
Okay.
Like I went in, it's like, okay, it's like I didn't hear the greatest reviews from the people that had it at any of the preview events. Even you, Jay, you're like, yeah, it's okay, and it's like they have unique tastes, so you can't really be like, well, it tastes like this,
right?
So I went in with some trepidation, and I ended up really enjoying it, especially once the sun came up. That cool green drink felt great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I kind of worried in the months leading up to it that maybe the first time I should have visited Disneyland was to go to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, because having worked at #AlwaysMGM, I was worried I wouldn't feel the connection to the area because having been in the backstage areas and working certain parts of that park, I was like, well, I'm just going to know what it is because I've worked there for 4 years. And so that wasn't the case at all, completely sucked in. And then I'll throw a little wild card in here. I was surprised that I didn't enjoy Oga's as much as I was hoping, and maybe my expectations were higher. But and maybe it was just the time of day, and maybe I was tired. But I enjoyed the atmosphere, but I was expecting more.
I wonder, too, if that may have been colored a little bit by the fact that it was so jam-packed. And when they brought us in...
That's right. Oh, man.
When they brought us into Oga's, they gave us a place at the bar for, quote-unquote, 3 people that really one person couldn't fit into. So we tried to stand, like we were, let's stand back to front and we'll just stand sideways.
Much,
And that wasn't even enough room. And, of course, Landon was ordering all the drinks with the collectible raincoat tee.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
I dropped like $160 at Oga's. What's up?
Your beer flight took up the whole bar in front of us. Like, we didn't have a place to put drinks. But
that is what I wanted to do. Ever since I saw that Rancor beer flight, it's like, that is what I'm doing.
And you did it. You did.
Dang right I did.
Checked it, and you got a Yub
sitting
Nub
in my office.
Yeah. So you did.
Yeah, I did. By the way, if you get the Yub Nub when you bring it home, check the bottom of your glass because don't want to brag or anything, but mine says first edition.
Yeah, first edition. That's right.
In your face, collectors.
Yeah.
Oh, see there. Interesting.
Makes us wonder: are there going to be? Is this the start of a series, maybe from Oga's? Probably. But
also, if you go to Oga's, be sure and take the paper coasters. They
give you the coasters, and the coasters tend to match your drink too. Like with the Yub Nub, they give you an Ewok coaster,
and with the Rancor tea, they gave me a Rancor coaster. Though you really don't need a coaster for a beer flight. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, I think on the scale of things, I still enjoyed Oga's. I just didn't. I still was like, I was more surprised by how good the food was, and obviously the Smuggler's Run and the details, all that is exceeded my expectations. I just think,
and this one came in a little. Yeah,
this came out a little under.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think I'll be honest. I think I kind of had a similar reaction, although I was really fired up about DJ Rex. I'm a DJ Rex fanboy, and so much like my love for Sunny Eclipse, I am a huge DJ Rex fan. So it was very cool to see that. I like that they have things that happen. I don't want to say too much about it, but things that happen in the bar that people participate in.
Yeah.
And I think what we decided when we were there is the way to do it would be to go in with a large group, so they sit you at a booth, because it would be very cool to be like hanging out in one of the corner booths and just kind of holding court in Oga's Cantina.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for growth in the Cantina too. I think there's a lot more they can do to play with it once things subside a little bit, maybe. And that's what I thought overall, because the food and drink were both good in the whole land. Yeah. I was like, one of the areas to really grow, never mind the rides, is with the food and drink. I think there's there can be a lot of good stuff that's happening here.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, especially on the food front in Oga's. If you're going in there looking for a bite to eat, your provisions are somewhat provisionless.
Right. It's not.
So yeah. Yeah, there's definitely room for improvement.
You get reservations there that say breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's not really a meal. So you need to eat beforehand. But Docking Bay 7 is a great option. Ronto Roasters is a great option. The food, like Frank said, it is surprisingly good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can get Coke that looks like a thermal detonator, too.
Well, true.
Exactly.
And you can bring it home on your flight. Thank you, TSA, for finally making up your mind.
That was one of the things I think I saw the news in the airport when I went home, and I was like, no!
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was quite a quick turnaround for you, Frank, but I think you maximized your time. You made 3 trips into Batuu.
I did make that the third one that I did not tell you guys about.
No, but we saw the video.
We did. We were over at Food and Wine. Frank has departed, and we're thinking, oh, he's got to rush back to the hotel. He was going to take a shower and then hop on the Magical Express. Suddenly, we're seeing like, what? Frank went back to Batuu? What is happening?
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, I have a little bit of time. I'll take the Friendship over, and then I'll just take the bus back from #AlwaysMGM over to Art of Animation. It'll be the same amount of time. And I was like, or I know how long it takes to get to the back of the studios and can get out of there in half an hour. I think I can do that.
And indeed you did.
And I still want to go back again. 3 times. I still want to go back.
Yeah. Absolutely. So tomorrow, we are going tomorrow. We've got Droid Depot reservations tomorrow, nice. And the family has their Oga reservation tomorrow because Sam and the kids haven't been yet to Oga's. So, so we're very excited, and I can't wait to go back. I've been thinking about it ever since we went, this exciting weekend, and I've been dying to get back in there, and it's not just for Smuggler's Run. I want to just be back in that land and hang out and see things and be part of it. So, I saw a couple of things. One is, I meant to tell you this while you were talking about, you were familiar with the backstage area of Always MGM. Somebody posted the location of the Golden Girls house.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah, okay. I saw it. It's awesome.
I didn't know where it was, but now I do, and now I can toast the Golden Girls every time I'm in that spot from now on.
Landon's just shaking his head.
Y'all got issues.
If you want to know, it's right between Ronto Roasters and Docking Bay 7. It's like right along the path there. Yeah.
Which I would not have thought of just walking around, which is, again, a testament to how good the land is, because I was like, wow, I don't really know where I am in terms of the old park.
Yeah.
Seriously. Well, it's like the entire time we were in there, all 11 hours, and then going on trips back, never once did I feel like, yes, I am in a Walt Disney World theme park. Like that is how well the immersion is done in Galaxy's Edge. I know it's going to sound weird. It really feels like you're off world, but it really does kind of feel like you're off world. It feels like you're in a different place. So it's like, I want to go back. Clearly me and Frank don't have the advantage that you do, Jay, but it's like, in my mind, I'm already planning my next trip down. And similar to you, it's like, I do want to go on the Millennium Falcon, but that's not at the top of my list of the reasons why I want to go back.
Yeah, there's so much more.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the growth, which I don't ever really say that about, the other lands. Like, great, new things. I don't like change. But I'm like, no, just keep bringing stuff in. Bring stuff more.
Not only new stuff, but I would love, I'm excited to see how the land matures as they start to understand, like, what guests are responding to. And by the way, you've got to use that data pad. Pull out that Play Disney app and interact with the things around you, because it really just enhances your experience. And
that's something I kind of wish I did in retrospect. And because that... Going back to our 4-hour wait, I think that helped break up the monotony for you, Jay, because you were able to scan a bunch of crates.
I kept scanning crates and hacking into consoles and all sorts of things.
But that's what's great for your next trip, Landon, is that you still have all of that.
Exactly.
To do,
And if I stand in line for the Falcon, unfortunately, I probably won't have Jay with me to jump into his big, strong arms when that one thing in the queue scares the crap out of me.
That was pretty good.
Literally jumped into his arms because I got scared at something.
Okay. I don't mind protecting.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. But, man, I got to tell you that just looking back on the whole thing, and I don't know if you guys have more things that you wanted to say, but I'm just kind of thinking, I knew that we were going to have a good time. I knew going in, I had a good feeling. I was like, if we know we're going to ride Smuggler's Run, we got to get Blue and Green Milk. We got to get into Doc Undar's. I kind of had that short list. We did those things. We did more than that. And not only that, but I had a great time doing it with you guys. Like, what an experience. What a bonding experience.
No, for sure. And for me, obviously, you guys didn't have any right to ask me at all. You could have just done your friends bonding thing, knowing each other your whole life. You didn't need to drag me into it. You certainly didn't need to let me sleep in my own bed, for God's sake.
Yeah, seriously, I was calling dibs for months. What the hell?
And I just want to say, like, I couldn't really, I didn't get a chance to reciprocate, I feel like, to the extent I could have. So both of you guys, Landon at your office, hopefully by Monday, and Justin at your home, you're going to receive a little gift from me from the Magic Candle Company.
Oh, wow.
What?
Your way. Yeah, I'll hook you up a little bit for that. Just a little small little thing, a little token of appreciation.
Well, that's awesome.
So
yeah, you should
look for that early next week.
That's amazing.
Thanks,
I can't wait to
buddy.
smell it.
Does it smell like friendship? Because I really feel like it needs to.
A little bit.
The friends we made along the way was the real Galaxy's Edge,
really
you guys.
was. That
It
was the
smells
real
like
adventure.
best friendship.
And I think we need to get the picture of us riding Frozen framed And
yeah, like that. Like I'm glad you brought that up. That's the best picture we took all week. And I know, I know there was like the picture of us with the day one graphics in front of the X-wings and then the Falcon and stuff.
Yeah.
Nope. The picture that I'm going to remember from our trip is the three of us in the front row of Frozen Ever After with the captions of "Nothing to see here, just three dudes having the time of their life on Frozen Ever After."
That's right.
And we certainly did. I think we did for the whole weekend, honestly. And we're gonna have to keep the good times rolling. We'll do this again at some point. And I know that the ladies have a trip coming up for Rise of the Resistance weekend, and I just
copycats.
I just want them to know right now there is no way that they're going to do it better than we did. There's no way that they're going to have more fun or more of an adventure than what we did, because ours was poorly planned, spur of the moment, and it came together in a way that only a magical weekend could. So, and
I would say come at the Kings, you best not miss, but we know they's going to miss. So.
We know they're going to spend a majority of their time in food and wine anyway. So
that is.
Oh, it'll be over by then. They can't.
It'll be over. Oh,
December. No.
Well, yeah, they're going to end up in Disney jail. So
that's true.
Yeah, they're going to have a whole different type of trip than we did. By the way, good job, guys. We didn't get thrown in Disney jail once.
Yay, we did it. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, guys, for joining me to kind of recap the weekend that was. And for me, certainly it's a memory that's going to last forever. And,
for sure.
And I really appreciate you guys being part of that. So as we wrap up, let's let people know where they can find you. Frank, tell the world about everything that you've got going on Theme Park Thursday and the broader Improvisers Guide Network.
Oh, sure. My sister Jen and I do Theme Park Thursday with Dillos Diz. So every Thursday we have a new episode on all the podcasting outlets, Google Play, Stitcher, all that, CastBox, you know what I mean. You can follow us at Dillos Diz, Dillos with an S, Diz with a Z on Twitter, Instagram. You'll find us on Facebook, YouTube. We do some videos from time to time over there as well. And then it's the Improvisers Guide Network is kind of my umbrella. So there's podcasts under the hashtag Everything is Wrestling, and It's Talk Tuesday, the Improvisers Guide podcast as well.
Wonderful. All good things.
All good things.
Go check them out.
Things. Yeah.
Landon, can you match that plethora of content?
I can try. LANDOZ. Please go follow me, Landon Doane.
He's the best.
Landon Doane.
Not the rest.
That's where you can follow me. 280 characters at a time on Twitter. I also own a website, buttmunchchips.com. Buttmunchchips.
Sit on your butt and munch.
Yeah, there we go. Getting the tag team back again. Checking the reckon. Listen, sorry, I'm not doing Whoop. There it is. That's where you can find exclusively. Well, no longer exclusively posted podcasts because I forgot I paid for them to be in the iTunes store. So go to the iTunes store and search Game of Thrones Talk, a.k.a. God Talk. Search for Near Fall Wrestling. If you're a fan of the Sweet Science Professional Wrestling, bunch of old episodes. Off topic, but I get to meet the good brothers Gallows and Anderson at work on Monday. So,
nice.
that's pretty cool. And I get free tickets to Raw. And then the R&D Project, whatever that is. It's a podcast with me and Will Rabb. That's all I can say. That's it. It's just it's a podcast, y'all. Oh, and then speaking of my job, I am on the Phil Show Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. newstalk987.com. If you're here locally, WOKI News Talk 98.7 FM in Knoxville, and you can download and stream it through the app in the iTunes and Google Play Store.
As they say, in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the cloud
in the
or something.
Cloud. It's
I don't understand the cloud.
A sky walking radio show.
Don't say that. Disney will come and sue us.
Well, we're at Morning Monorail.
We should talk about real quick. We're going to do a switcheroo skidoo.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we staged the pictures and everything, which, by the way, y'all are two of the most awkward people to take pictures. My God.
Yeah. I know.
Like if any of the listeners have Photoshop skills, please take the image of Frank and Jay right after they shook hands. They look like they're like lost middle schoolers in a dance, or they look like politicians waiting to like their handlers come and bring them off stage after a debate. Like somebody Photoshop some debate stands in front of them. That'd be great.
Yeah. But we did agree in principle to the Switcheroo Skidoo Part 2, Save the Muppets edition. And we're hammering out the details, but it is coming up. We've got dates locked in, so it is happening. Yeah.
Details to follow.
Follow us. You can follow us at Morning Monorail on Twitter. We are Monday Morning Monorail on all the other things. We've got a website, Monday Morning Monorail Podcast.com, where you can find a blog by moi.
I still think you should have tried and gotten a longer URL.
I tried. I could have added to it. I'll make another one.
Monday Morning Monorail Podcast with Justin Monorail.
Do you think I could get something
Samantha
like
Monorail.
WaltDisneyWorld.com? That's what I'm going to try to get.
Just put a .go. You should be okay. That was the thing they did, right?
It is. Yeah. But follow us on all the things. You'll get the updates all about Switcheroo Skidoo Part 2. And, we always share the Theme Park Thursday episodes, so you can find those there. And if Landon ever does anything with this podcast, I'll put those out there too. Yeah. But thanks so much for coming along on this recap of the adventure today. We appreciate you. We love being part of this community. Come back again next week. We'll be right back here. And until then, have a magical week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for riding with us today. We hope you enjoyed the journey, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, we want to hear from you. Send us questions, comments, and suggestions on Twitter at Morning Monorail. Our email address is mondaymorningmonorail@gmail.com. You can also call our voicemail at 407-917-2144. As we approach the station, gather your belongings and please watch your step as you exit.
See y'all.